congratulations, salutations, and best wishes to Bishop Whitaker on this 24th year. Someone said everybody speaks well of their pastor everywhere. Well, I've been some places where they didn't do that. I think another statement was made that some churches without pastors, there are a lot of them without pastors. And by the end of the day, there's a whole bunch more that will be walking away and saying, I won't be back, I won't be back. Thank God, each time you have come into greater free giving, your pastor is still here. We wish you well, and thank you so very much for letting us be a part of this. Thank you for being my friend. We have buried a lot of friends over the past 2 years. We keep sitting next to each other, in front of each other, beside each other. We'll take the seat and not be the guest of honor. We have so much to thank the Lord for. Disease has tried to take him out. God keeps showing over and over again. With his stripes, I am healed. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you, greater free gift, for taking care of my friend. And there's a lot of people coming in here and coming out over the next few weeks. My visit is different. My visit is different. I don't wait to be invited to celebrate him. Just show up. Right. It's just good to see him happy. Appreciate him. Appreciate you taking care of him. And I can't wait to get into the new church. This is a testing ground. It's a place of being tutored. Because you may have to be out of there again when this building, as beautiful as it might be, becomes too small for all that you have to do. So you can't be afraid to move. Sometimes we stay in places not because we feel that this is where the Lord has put us. We have an attachment to the building as opposed to having an attachment to the kingdom. Because the kingdom is bigger than where you are. So if you're looking for a kingdom blessing, a kingdom miracle, you got to be like Green Acres. Green Acres is the place for me. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out far and wide. Keep Manhattan. Give me countryside. Amen. So get ready for the countryside. God can give it to you. I just want to talk to you briefly, and I mean really briefly. Pastor Chance, please help me with my time. And I do want to thank my church family. Would you all please stand? You're the most. Thank you so very much. This is not all of us, but this is the best of us. Yeah. This is the best of us. I'm sure you don't have your time to tell somebody else. Just so you know, your founding pastor, Dr. Bass's niece, is here. She's from St. Mary. But you should know that. And there's two nieces. Yes, she's good friends with Pastor Chambers. Yeah, you know. I'll tell you the story later how that all happened. Right, a little while back, all of us, Sister Dr. McInnes and all this bunch was together. And Dr. McInnes likes to tell people I've known her since she was a baby. And I just don't respond. And so the text is taken from. Thank God I've lived as long as I've lived.
Yes, yes.
Amen. My cousin and I have this agreement between the two of us. We want to live longer than our mothers and as long as our fathers. So we might pass that. Our great granny lived to be 100. After she celebrated her 100th birthday, a few months later, she said they fed her, she was hungry, she said she ate. She said, I'm a little tired, I'm going to sleep. I'll see you all later. She went to sleep and woke up in glory. I'm saying now, if I got to go, that's the way to go. 1 Kings chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18. Verses 41 to 45. Kings chapter 18, verses 41 to 45. I'm reading from the Message translation. I'm holding a mic, so this is in front of me. Here begins the reading of God's word. Then Elijah said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of much rain." So Ahab went up to eat and drink, but Elijah went up to the top of Carmel. He got down on the ground and put his face between his knees. He said to his servant, "Go up now and look toward the sea." So he went up and looked and said, "There is nothing." 7 times Elijah said, "Go again." The 7th time he said, "I see a cloud as small as a man's hand coming up from the sea." Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, make your war wagon ready and go down, so that the rain does not stop you." Soon the sky became black and clouds and wind, and there was much rain. And Ahab went to Jezreel. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I would like to think that most everyone has or lives in expectation. That is living in hope, possibility, and on occasion the promise that there is something bigger, better, and greater is coming. There is no medicine like hope, no incentive so great, no tonic so powerful as expectation of something tomorrow. These are the encouraging words of Orison Swett Martin. Not all of us are looking for the same thing, but hopefully we are all looking and expecting something good. Whether it be good, bad, great, small, amazing, or even disappointing, we are expecting something. Sad is the person who expects nothing from life and who lives in the philosophy of Ryan Reynolds. When you have expectations, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. Not the place where you want to live, but you want to see disappointment as an indication to keep on looking for something better is coming. Yeah. The story before us is one of expectation in contradiction. For 3 years there was no rain, and now the prophet tells his servant, "Go back and look again, and look until you see a sign or a signal that something different is about to happen." Well, the time that is mine today, I want to talk to you from the subject, look for it. I want to ask you to encourage somebody in your space, a few somebodies, and just say to them, don't stop looking, don't stop looking, don't stop looking. Now, if I see you nodding off, I'm going to ask everybody to stand. It's a hardship, if not a miserable existence, to be around someone who really wants very little or nothing out of life, for themselves or anyone else. When you speak about moving forward, asserting yourself in life, realizing your dreams and aspirations, and you are in the company of dreamless, hopeless, goalless people that will tell you every reason why it won't happen, I feel like you are pulling dead weight. Do you know anybody like that? Yes. If you don't, that's great. But keep living, though, because as sure as you want to be bigger, better, and greater, there will be someone who wants nothing, dreams nothing, and sees nothing, and who will tell you that you are reaching too high and too big. If you have heard the success stories of any successful person, in it are the details of those who told them they could not do what ultimately made them successful. I would say to you that if you're not met with some opposition, maybe, just maybe, you aren't doing anything. May I also encourage you that when you are met with failure, delay, and disappointment, don't see it as a sign or a signal that you should not follow your passion or your dream. Failure, delay, and disappointment seen in a positive light are the tutors to success. Albert Einstein said a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Someone dreamt of going to the moon. It sounded impossible, but it happened. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy spoke, "Ask not." I dream dreams. Some people dream dreams and say why, and I dream dreams and say why not. It was a notion. It was a thought. It was imagination. And soon after a while, somebody landed on the moon. When they got on the moon, they looked down at earth and said, "The earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein." A notion, more than a notion, that computers would one day replace typewriters. And there is most likely a computer or two in every home and perhaps in every pocket. 1977, 1976, I was a freshman at College of Staten Island. Staten Island Community College, yes. And I was a business computer science major. So you see I changed that field, but some of you will remember then they were telling us that computers would be in everybody's home. You'll be able to go on a screen and take care of your business. And it was kind of difficult for us to understand that, seeing that we were walking around with a stack of IBM cards. You fed it through the machine, it read it, and if you had a comma in the wrong place, or you missed the parenthesis, or the semicolon was in the wrong place, you got about 12 sheets telling you error, error, error. And then the analyst would look at it and say, "Pull out card number 128 and look at what you wrote in there." Just think now, our children don't know how to write cursive. But they can visit the entire world by pointing. Yes, Lord. We are now slaves to our devices, and we are living in what I call acquired agoraphobia. Meaning you hardly need to leave your house for almost anything. You can order your food, you can call somebody to come get your clothes, deliver them, you get your groceries, you get Uber to take you to Uber, and when you get to Uber, you get another Uber to bring you back. You can scan your checks, get them in the account, draw somewhere that you can put them in and know they don't scan them twice because you already did it once. You can pay your bills automatically, set it up on your bank account as long as you got money in there. It will pay whoever you want it to pay. Sad to say, it's even gotten so that when we started live streaming church, the idea of that was to reach people who actually could not come to church. And so one of our parish ministers was calling on one of the saints because they hadn't seen him, wanted to know if you all right, do you need anything? And she said, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm just tired. When I work all week, I'm tired. I watch y'all on live streaming." I said, "Well, you know what? Don't visit her no more." See, it's moving towards, becoming isolated, and you are becoming the company of yourself. And anytime when you live with you and you alone, anything you say to you is right, even when it's wrong. You always agree with you. That's right. I was sitting with somebody and she said, I said to myself, and I said, "And what did you say back to you?" When you hear voices, there's medication for that. I say that to saints often. Something down inside of me said, "All right, there's a pill for that." Someone had to try something new, make a mistake, and try it again. My grandmother-in-law, Mother Evelyn Hines, married to Deacon James Hines. Deacon James Hines was very explorative. He was inquisitive. He brought home a microwave, and she came all the way out of her Holy Ghost. And she told him, "What did you bring this thing in here for? I don't want no microwave. I'm going to get radiation. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. You're going to kill all of us. You're just going to take us out. What'd you get a microwave for? You can come in here with all this junk, all this stuff, and this stuff like that." Well, she didn't know anything about it. She didn't know how to use it. She didn't know what to do with One day, one of her grandchildren showed her how to warm a piece of bread. Actually, a cup of biscuits. Granny wrapped it up in the towel, put it in the microwave, put it on for 30 seconds. Get your butter out. Now, she is from the generation of TV dinners. So a microwave is something you just don't. Right. Once she was exposed to it and saw how it worked, she never hardly ever turned her oven on ever again. And truthfully, many of us approach new things, better things, greater things with apprehension that I don't want to deal with that. But I don't know how many of you drove stick shifts. I never did. Yeah, but when you got into an automatic car, all right. Remote controls. I remember back in the day where the cabinet of the television was bigger than the TV. The screen was 9 inches, but the cabinet had to be like a whole dressing drawer. And if you were going to watch a program at 4 o'clock, you needed to turn the TV on about 1/4 to at least half an hour before. So all the tubes, if you heat it up, start popping. So you can see I Love Lucy or Dark Shadows at 4 o'clock. That's right. Some things about me that you don't need to know. And now, we can stand in another room, point the remote, and the television will come right on. Brothers have the best exercise of all, thumbs and buttons. Buttons. My friend lays down with the remote sitting on top of his chest. Wives talk about husbands all the time. He got the power over the remote. Can't watch nothing I want to see because he got the remote. Who would have thought that what was an imagination has now become our reality? In the text, we enter a drought which has lasted for about 3 years. The details begin in chapter 17, the first verse. Now Elijah the Tishbite of the people who were staying in Gilead said to Ahab, "As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, assured, there will be no rain nor water on the grass in the early morning these years except by my word." This chapter reads with God's provision for the prophet and those who came in contact with him during this drought. While the land was deprived of water, there was a brook, some ravens, a widow's oil and flour which sustained him in this dry season. Dry times can be difficult to manage, to get through, to negotiate. You see, when Elijah prophesied, his words would also impact him as well. Yet God gave him and those around him the ability to use what they had to survive in those dry times. There's a reason to pause here because we can glance back, all of us, each of us, every one of us, and see the dry places where we should have perished. But God had already given us what we needed to get through. I know there's some people that live by prophecy. They like for somebody to come and call you out and tell you your name, your address, your cell phone number, the last 4 digits of your social security number, and the people just get all excited. You know, when I see prophets coming, I get out of their way. Now I know some people live by prophecy, but prophecy for me always costs me something. And sometimes my conversation with the Lord is, you taking this, you taking that, you taking the other, and now you're sending somebody else to speak into my life. What else? You never ask God what else. What else will I now have to give up for this word from the Lord?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I see. I hear. Because when the prophet prophesied there would be no rain, he was living with them folk that he prophesied to.
Right.
Which means if they didn't get any rain, neither would he. But God made provision. He sent a dirty bird to feed them, the ravens. He let the brook flow until it was time to move in a different direction. Many of us stay in places that God is not providing anymore, only because He wants you to move on to the next provision. Don't stay where God is not. And don't get left when he's trying to take you where you need to go. Won't be in the rain except by my word, except by my word, except by my word. Dry times can be difficult to manage, to get through, to negotiate. You see, when Elijah prophesied, his words would impact him as well. Yet God gave him and those around him the ability to use what they had to survive those dry times. There is a reason for us to think this through. God never leaves us without a supply. He never leaves us in a place where he cannot make provision. God is not capable of running out of resources. And when you were in your dry space, when you were in your drought, when you could have died, but you didn't because God provided a brook. He sent some ravens. He sent somebody to come your way with a little flour and a little oil to support you in those dry times. The thing about dry times is that it can cause you to doubt, to waver in your faith. Think that God is divorced from you and your situation. There seemed to have been some thought here in this community that Baal was in charge of the rain together with the Lord. So we enter the conflict of the text. Who of these two will send rain? Will it be Baal or will it be God? People get real excited and they pull back when they hear that, but sometimes this is how this plays out. Am I going to have to deliver myself? Or do I need to wait on God? We put God on a timeline. We put him on a dateline. And then we reason it out in our minds that if he don't do such and such by my time, then that means that this is what I'm supposed to do. But you see, the worst thing you could ever do is try to help God. God works best when you don't work him. And because he doesn't work on your timeline and on your dateline and on your deadline, doesn't mean that he's not working, because God works even in the dark, even in the dark. And when you can't see what he's doing, where he's trying to take you and where he's trying to get you to go, doesn't mean that he's not working. There's some things that's got to be moved out of your way, got to be negotiated so that you don't have to struggle with your Which one of them is going to send the rain? Is it going to be God? Or is it going to be Baal? Baal and God working together. I've never known God to have assistants, co-gods, first administrators and second administrators and third administrators, special assistant to the special assistant to the special assistant, national, general, and international, and all in between. Sometimes we run out of titles and we start making up stuff. Where'd you get that from? The drought was not the work of Elijah. It was God's doing. Let me say this so I can get done. Your dry times is not your doing or from something that you did. It's God's doing. The drought was to show Ahab there is no one who is equal to God, especially Baal. Your drought was intended specifically to show you can't nobody be God but God. You tell Ahab, you better go, you better go, you better go, you better go get something to eat and get your chariot ready because it's about to rain. It is here where Elijah begins looking for a change. Go look and tell me what you see. While the prophet was praying, he was also expecting an answer to prayer. Could you help me so I can hurry up? Can you tell them people in your road, don't stop looking, don't stop. That's not quite convincing. Go the other way and maybe you'll be more persuasive. Don't stop looking. Here is the issues, here are the setups, here are the components of all this going on. The prophet said there won't be no rain until I say so. And he's telling his servant, go look for rain. This is a contradiction. You don't say things are going to dry up and then start looking for water to come from somewhere. You don't tell somebody, speak to the rock and watch water come out of rock. Two things here that are contradictory. You don't have conversations with rocks. I know there's some people who do, but I'm not talking to them right now. You don't have conversations with rocks. That's the first thing. Second thing, as far as we know of physiology and science, water don't come out of rocks. So we've got two contradictions. A conversation with a rock with the expectation that what you need is going to come out of it.
Come on, all right.
Well, they sung a few years back, I Go to the Rock. Ain't heard the song yet, I Talk to the Rock. I know we sing On the Rock, On Christ the solid rock, I stand. But we don't have any conversations standing on the rock. God works in contradictions. He creates them. He develops them. And sometimes he paralyzes you so that you are helpless to help yourself and you become totally dependent on God to work in your contradiction. How can anything good come out of something so negative? Watch God work. Will it be Baal or will it be God? Will it be God or will it be Baal? Go look and tell me what you see. I don't see anything. Go back. I feel my hat coming.
Go ahead.
Go back. Look again. Tell me what you see. I don't see anything. He couldn't have been Pentecostal or Baptist.
That's right.
Because the conversation then would have been with the Baptist. Listen, don't keep sending me looking out there in the water and them dark clouds for something that ain't out there. Go back, look, and tell me what you see. Now, here it is. They're expecting water, and there is an expectation that when rain is coming, wind will move the water in your direction. I don't know how many of you all remember Sandy. I remember it very well. What saved us was it didn't rain, but what took us out was the wind moved the water to land. It filled up my basement 78 inches and everything down there was baptized, drowned, and floated away. Had rain come along with the wind, I dare say that Canarsie would have ever been above water again. They're looking for wind so that it will bring the rain, but that's not what he sees. He goes back the seventh time and he reports, I see a cloud.
Yes, sir.
The size of a man's hand. That's not a big cloud. Especially with the kind of rain that you are expecting, the kind of rain that you need. We have not had water for 3 years. There needs to be a deluge. There needs to be a cloud, a sky filled with clouds so that it can accommodate, complement, reverse the effects of the drought. I see a man's hands, the size of a cloud, the size of a man's hand. I'm near to my conclusion. Your blessing doesn't always come big, but it comes in small things with big results. Some of your greatest deliverance is coming out of the most unexpected place. Can you help me preach so I can quit telling you folks, don't stop looking. While he was praying, he was expecting, and while he was expecting, he was praying. He was looking and expecting and looking. Expecting. Today, when you hear when couples are in the family way, you'll hear them say, we are pregnant. The husband and wife standing there, we pregnant. Now, back in the dinosaur days, the language was very sensitive, very politically correct. We're in the family way. The Lord has blessed us. Which one is this? It's the ninth child. That's a lot of times. And two people don't get along, you got along 9 times, at least once. But that's not the terminology that's used today. We are pregnant. Now only one of you gonna deliver. Then the language changes again. We're expecting. We're expecting our first child. This is the 13th child. We're expecting. But somewhere near that last trimester, we're pregnant, we're expecting changes to the baby is due on such and such a date. We have now come to the place where our expectations are about to be realized. You ever read that Psalm of David where he talks about, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. In the darkness did you form me. Did you form me? Bones and sinew and tissue and muscle all coming together. And when you're looking at it as a picture, it looks like a tapestry. I am fearfully and wonderfully. And all that working in the dark is about to come to the light. And it gets to the point where you know when delivery date is about to happen. Mama's nose starts spreading. Yeah. Ankles start getting fat. You can hardly breathe. Your husband wants to touch you and I'll kill you. You can't lay on your back, you can't lay on your side, you can't lay on your stomach, you can't sit up, you can't stand up. It's like this baby needs to hurry up and come. This baby needs to get here. Somebody get this baby out of me. I used to work at Brooklyn Jewish Hospital back in the day, and I worked in the building where the babies were delivered. And sometimes it would take a little while for the baby to, for them to fully, get. So some of those older women in the department would tell the family, get on the Fulton Street bus. I'm intellectual. I'm trying to make sense of that. Go get on the Fulton Street. That was back in the day when Fulton Street wasn't as smooth and as nice. Ride the Fulton Street bus downtown and then come back here. And by the time you go downtown and back around and come back, you'll be good and ready. You should be right. And we'd sit there and about an hour later and come in. All right. She's ready to get here. She's ready. I don't get what the bus has to do. Bump the baby down, I guess. But whatever that philosophy was, it helped the baby to get into the canal so that it could be pushed out. Because now we are at the due date. And we've got to press, push, and deliver. Because this is the day. This is the moment. And this is the hour that you're supposed to be here. Now you know when your blessing is about to come. Because you start getting uncomfortable. You start looking ugly. Your praise takes you to an ugly place. It becomes of the character and the nature where you don't care when nobody sees you stalling and crying and sweating and jumping and leaping and running. Because it's time to deliver my blessing. Let my praise push my miracle out. Let my praise push my blessing out. Let my praise push my answer out. Let my praise push out my answer to my prayer. Don't stop looking. Don't stop looking. And the worse you feel, the closer you get. The worse you look, Lord, I feel the dancing. The closer you get. When you feel exhausted and worn out, it's about. Would you encourage encourage somebody and ask them, when's your due date? When's your due date? Somebody needs to step in there. When you do, when you do. Here's what Elijah says to Ahab. Looks like rain, you better run. You ain't there yet. Looks like rain, you better run. Do they? Looks like rain, you better run. Looks like rain, you better run. In other words, if you don't want it to soak you, you better get in front of it. But here's what I'm thinking. It'll come up behind me. It'll overtake me. It'll run up in front of me and wait for me. And when I get to the next spot, it'll run up behind me. It'll overtake me. It'll run in front of me and wait for me. It'll run up behind me. It'll overtake me. It'll run up in front of me. So everywhere I turn, I've got blessings in the east. They've been released. I've got blessings in the west. It's due date. They've been released. I've got blessings in the north. They've been released. It's due date. I've got blessings in the south. They've been released. I've got blessings in heaven. They've been released. I've got blessings on earth. They've been released. Everywhere I turn. Everywhere I turn. Everywhere I turn. Everywhere I turn. I'm blessed. And I can't help it. I'm blessed. And I can't help it. I can't help it. That I'm blessed. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Today you can stop mourning. You can stop drowning in your complaints. I feel Jesus here. You can stop grieving over what you thought should have happened that didn't happen. There's a blessing in closed doors. Look for it. God has released it. I ain't no prophet, but maybe you can consider this a prophecy. Everything that has your name on it is headed in your direction. Everything that has your name on it is headed in your direction. What's headed in your direction has your name on it. That's a good spot for you to receive it with praise. The interruptions, the disappointments, the delays, the prayers that didn't get the answer you expected, but the answer you needed. God was telling you to keep looking because you got a due date. You got a due date. I'm going to jump in your shout now. By this time tomorrow. When it looks like nothing is happening, God is at work. When it looks like nothing is happening, God is at work. When it looks like nothing is happening, God is at work. God is at work. God is getting you ready for what He has already got ready for you. God is getting you ready for what He has already got ready for you. God is getting you ready for what He has already got ready for you. What God wants you to know, He's telling you I'm doing a new thing. It's springing forth. We don't use typewriters anymore. We use iPhones. I'm moving you from your typewriter days to your cyber days. Just point and click. You don't see it, but it's happening in the atmosphere. It's happening in places where you don't see it. When you feel discouraged, and when you feel weak, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like disappearing, when you feel like going to sleep and not waking up, keep looking. Your blessings have been released. You have a due date. You have a due date. Be not weary in well doing. Or again, it's your season. It's your season. I don't know how you feel about that. It's your season. The folk that went in front of you were clearing the way so your passage could be easy. Let me just quit. Do you know what the miracle of Jericho was? Do you know what the miracle of Jericho was? It was acquisition without a struggle. Y'all get ready to shout, because this is it. This is the last thing. The process made no sense, but the results got them to an intended end. Walk and don't say a word. God is challenging some of you right now to walk in places with your mouth. Stop testifying before God gets finished working. Just walk. Just walk. Don't say anything. Put them in the church for walking. This is the third day we walking around here. You're talking. That's the problem. Don't say. I'm gonna preach that one day. Don't say a word. Just on the last day. Everything you've been holding for the past 7 days, this is your time and your opportunity to raise your praise and raise your life. Here's what happens when they send up the praise. The top of the wall was wide enough for a 6-lane highway, 3 lanes on one side, 3 lanes on the other side. The walls were thick, difficult to penetrate, the outer wall and the inner wall. The silly people in town kept coming up on top of the wall to see what the silly people around the wall was doing. See, God does silly things to arrest and destroy your enemies. That's why you gotta walk with your mouth. When the praise went up, they themselves could not penetrate the wall, but the Holy Ghost got in the praise and dismantled the wall. Here's what that looks like. The outer wall lay flat. The inner wall lay flat. The top with all the folk on it came down. Here's what the circling people did. They stopped circling, kept making noise, and walked into the city and possessed it without a struggle. This is your season. It will be without a struggle. I said that was the last thing. I misspoke. Leprous men outside of the city with no one to help them because they need to be quarantined. Nobody needs to go near them. And so the conversation between these men, are we going to sit here and die, or are we going to do something? Better we die doing something than just sit here and die. I'm saying something to somebody. Well, here's what we understand. If we go in the city, they're going to kill us. If we stay out here, we're going to die. So let's go in the city. Maybe somebody will have mercy on us. I need you all to stand because you get ready to amplify, demonstrate what this looks like. All of y'all with good feet, bad feet, whatever. This is what a leper would sound like walking. You can't hear it, but because the limbs have been so compromised, they don't have a strong gait. But while they were walking like this, I want you to start picking up your feet and putting them down like you're marching. No, I know it's a cement floor. You act like you stomping. We need some mics on this floor so you can just see. It sounds loud to you, but what the enemy heard was 10 times louder than that. And all this was something. That's right. And this sounded like that. Here's what the inhabitants of the city did. They coming to get us. Don't stop. They coming to get us. We better get out of here. Run for your life. Don't take anything. Just get out. It was leprous men with a poor gait, missing limbs, taking over a city. I'm closing now. But with all of your handicaps, with all of your disabilities, with all of your inhibitions, when you step out, God takes your shortcomings, He amplifies it. And who should be running gets ran from that bad ground. You sound like a whole host come and destroy your city. I dare you to pick them up and put them down like you've got something to go get them.
Everybody stand up.